Trust is a funny thing because the deeper the level of trust, the less the need for details. The deeper the level of trust, the less the need for details. Can I break it down? Holly went to get her nails done yesterday. I trust her. I didn't check my phone to see if she actually went to get her nails done. I didn't ask her how long she was gonna be there. Who's gonna be doing your nails? What kind of acrylic are you planning to get today? And are you gonna pay for the extra $20 thing where they put the little things on top of the things? Because I trust her. She won't spend it if we don't have it, and she won't lie to me about it if she does. She'll tell me I spent 20. I don't even have to ask her. Just go get your nails done. I trust her. This is not a marriage seminar. This is not a parenting seminar, but let's pretend like it is because it involves a father and a son. With teenagers, how many of you have teenagers? When you trust your teenagers, you are delusional. Just kidding. When you trust your teenagers, because they can develop a track record that you trust them, right? And if you have a teenager that you feel like you can trust as much as you can trust any person, including you, because some of y'all can't even trust the teenager that's still living in you. So how in the world would you completely trust your teenager? But when they have exemplified trustworthy behavior, even though they have a sinful nature, it changes things. If you don't trust your teenager, every time they want to go somewhere, you need details. So they will ask you, can I go to the movies? And you will say, I need some details. Somebody put it in the chat. Say details. Tell your neighbor, I need details. Tell them, if I don't trust you, I need details. So can I go to the movie? What movie? What theater? Who are some of the actors in the movie so I can see if you really plan on seeing this movie? What time is it playing? Who else is gonna be on your row? What seat are you sitting in? Show me a screenshot of those seats right now. Will there be popcorn involved? How much butter do you plan on pumping on that popcorn? Because the less I trust you, the more I need details. If I trust you, can I go to the movies? Sure, be home at 11:30. We don't need the details if we have the trust. And the deeper the level of trust, the less the need for details. The guy who started the church with me, he could walk up to me right in the middle of preaching right now and put a contract here and say, I need you to sign this while you're preaching. And I would keep preaching and sign it and hand it back to him. I wouldn't ask him what it was about. Maybe you think I'm an idiot, but we've had experiences together. It would not matter what that particular document said. It is through now the first time I met him, I needed details. Now, let me tell y'all something because I really want to set this frame so that we don't get lost in an epic story about killing your son or your daughter, which is not what the text is about. It's about trust. God is not calling you to kill your child. You might wish from time to time, but using humor just to lighten the mood so we don't get caught in something that we can't understand and contextualize in our day. This is about trust. The test that you're in right now is about trust. When we started the church, I had 8 families who I asked to come with me. This was 20 years ago. 21 years ago, I said, I'm called to start a church. And I believe y'all are called to come with me. But here's all I told them. I said, we're gonna start a church in a big city somewhere in America. That was the whole pitch. I had not read the sales books yet about how to sell people on your vision. And as a matter of fact, I didn't really want them to know what city we were going to because I didn't know yet. And I believed that God knew. And I didn't want them to make a commitment based on a city. I wanted them to make a commitment based on a calling. I didn't want them to commit if we were going to Miami because they like warm weather. I wanted them to commit even if we went to Minnesota. But I didn't want to tell them Minnesota so that they would say yes, and then they'd have to go to Minnesota because I wanted to trick them into trusting God, not me. So I look back on that and I think, my goodness, how did they trust so much when they were told so little? Somewhere in the United States of America, we couldn't have known we would be in such a wonderful city as Charlotte, North Carolina. We couldn't have known. And I'm not comparing y'all to Abraham, but even though they didn't know, they decided to go. Let's go. Let's go do it, they said. We're young and dumb. Let's go. Might as well find out if God can use us. Let's go. There's something invigorating, even talking to you about me reliving those let's go moments of our faith. There's something exciting even just to remember, like, I don't even know what it means to start a powerful church, but I want to do it. Lord, let's go. And when God said to Abraham, let's go, Abraham didn't say, there are a few things I need to know, which lets me know that trust is not only a product of time, it is a product of character. This was not Abraham's third time following God. It was his first. It's not like he had a list of things to point back to where, well, God, you led me there and it worked out. You told me to take that job and I got a raise, and you told me to marry them and they turned out to be wonderful. No, this is God saying, it's me, God, let's go. And when God says, let's go, you can resist it and you'll get more and more miserable as you fight it. When God says, let's go, it's time for you to leave this toxic state and forgive them and move on from what you've been holding them hostage about. When God says, let's go, and you won't move on past that, you will feel stuck in yourself until you obey the spoken word of the sovereign God. When God says, let's go, you might not even get to ask him where. But if God can be trusted, then the deeper the level of the trust, the less the need for the details. So God says, let's go, and you don't ask him where, you just say, which shoes should I put on? Can I wear something with heels or should I wear something flat? When God says, let's go, when he invites you into a new way of living, when he tells you it's time to pursue growth and stop staying stagnant in the grumblings of your past, when God says, let's go, if you trust him enough, you won't even need the details. And by the way, the more that I trust you, the less details I need to give you too. If I don't trust you, I gotta tell you everything. But in my relationship with God, if I really trust him, why would I need to give him all the details of how he needs to lead me? And I wanna live in this for a minute. I love y'all when y'all feel uncomfortable when I'm preaching. That's how I know I heard from God, because there are some of you right now whose faith is being tested. But when your faith is being tested, realize that there's something that God already taught you that he is calling you to trust him in. And the deeper the level of trust, notice I said deeper, not higher. The deeper the level of trust, the less the need for the details. How did Abraham trust so much when he was told so little? I'm gonna close my eyes so y'all won't feel like I'm judging you when you answer this. Raise your hand if you would have needed a little more detail than Abraham received in order to leave everything that you knew and set out. But he didn't. I give you the scripture again. And I can't believe those of you who did not raise your hand right there. You won't even go to a party if you don't see the entire guest list. Some of us won't even leave the house unless we plot out where all the bathrooms are gonna be, you know? I gotta know where and if you drive a Tesla, you gotta know where every charging station is, or you can't drive that. So now watch what Abraham did. He obeyed and went even though he did not know where he was going. Verse 8, he obeyed and went even though he did not know where he was going. He obeyed and went even though he did not know. Let's substitute something here. Let's say, I must obey and go even though I don't know. And where it says where they are going, just put whatever needs to go in that blank. If I don't know how God is going to do it, I don't need the details, because my trust in him is deeper than the details. So when God speaks to you and he says, I want you to give this person some money, you don't need the details of why God wants you to give it if you trust him deeply. When you say, well, I can't trust them, I don't know if they're gonna spend it on the right thing. It's not the depth of your trust in them that determines your level of generosity. You are called to be generous. I think I'm really calling on somebody today who needs to do it without the details. And I don't mean get in your car and drive until an angel speaks and then stop and get a motel room. I'm talking about going forward in what God is speaking to you, even though you don't know. A lot of times we get trapped in all of the details that we don't know, and we don't take the steps that God has called us to take. There is a distinction between God and the devil, though. See, the devil doesn't test us, he tempts us. The devil tempts us outside of God's will. God tests us to bring us deeper into his will. It occurs to me today that the devil cannot test you. Only God can test you. The devil can tempt you not to trust God in this test, but God is the only one who can test. Can I preach a little while like we're preaching to people over the age of 5 years old? We need to make that distinction, because otherwise you will get stuck in the even though and you'll never know. So there are amazing let's go moments that we have. There are amazing set out in faith moments, and maybe not like Abraham to that dramatic extent, but we can surely see the disciples having a let's go moment. Write that phrase down, let's go moment. They're exciting. Hey, follow me. I'll make you fishers of men. Well, what do we do about the boats? Just keep those and rent them out for a little while. But for the next 3 years, you're gonna see amazing things. Let's go. When God speaks to you and tells you to take a step of faith and really this time I'm gonna put myself into this job. I'm not just gonna work here and take a check and quiet quit. I'm really gonna step up and lead in this job. When God says, let's go, sometimes he doesn't have to move you from the place that you are. He wants to use you in the place that you are when you finally decide, let's go. The disciples didn't move from Galilee when Jesus called them. They offered their boats so Jesus could use them in the place they already were. Let's go. Sometimes God will tell you it's time for you to step into your adulthood. You have been in a season of childishness, not childlike faith, but childishness long enough. Let's go. I'm calling you up now. You need to be a mentor now. You need to be an example now. You need to trust me to move forward by faith now. And I wonder, is there anybody in here who trusts God enough that if he says, let's go, even though the arrows are flying, you've got the shield of faith. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Let's go. The weapon may be formed against me, but it will not prosper. Let's go. Take your stand then against the devil's schemes. You are not ignorant of his schemes. Let's go. Devil, I don't want the smoke, but if you want to bring it, I know somebody who's got a train that fills the temple. Let's go. Let's go. I don't want to raise this kid by myself, but if God didn't give me somebody else to raise them with, he's my tag team partner. Let's go. And Abraham went 1,500 miles. Can you imagine? 1,500 miles without an app, without an Uber, without a GPS coordinate. Feels like that sometimes, but there is the voice of God saying, let's go. Notice he said, let's go. Let us go. I'm gonna do this with you. But I'll need the details. Let me give you another example so I can make this so practical but you will have no excuse either to obey it or disobey it when the Lord speaks it to you. When I go on a trip for ministry, if I go alone, I need every detail. But if somebody comes from the staff to support me, I don't need to know the details because I've got somebody with me that I can depend on. And if I can depend on you, I don't need details. So the process of my life and getting closer with God should not be necessarily that I understand more and more of where he's taking me. That's why we get confused when we run up on seasons that we didn't see coming, because we think that the depth of our faith in God will bring clarity about the details of where he's leading. But the deeper the trust, I said the deeper the trust. Trust isn't always tall. You can't always see it. Sometimes it runs deep where you need it the most. And I believe that's how Abraham was able to say, let's go. And then, after God spoke to him at age 75, leaving a metropolitan culture for a nomadic one, everything about his life seems to be going backwards when he sets out to follow God. Abraham wasn't moving on up. Y'all never even seen a TV set. But he followed God, what seemed to be down. And then God spoke the promise. Now, I want to show you a very pivotal phrase in Hebrews 11, verse 18. It's talking about how Abraham was tested, but when your faith is being tested, there's something that God has already taught you that he is calling you to trust in. And it says, by faith, Abraham, verse 18, please. Even though God had said to him, it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. So there's another even though. Go back to verse 7. I'm going to put this thing together for you. I'm going to put the bologna right in the middle of the buns and smash it down. By faith, Abraham, when called to go, verse 8, to a place he would later receive. This is delayed gratification, faith. Even in his lifetime, he wouldn't see all of it. But he obeyed and went even though he did not know where he was going. Now give me verse 18 again. He offered his son even though God had said to him. But go back to the verse before that because it calls Abraham something very interesting. You know, he's called the father of faith, and he is. His name means father of many nations. His name started as Abram, which means exalted father, but God changed his name to prepare him for his assignment. And he was called according to what he would carry. But when Abraham received the promise that you will have a son, there was a problem. It says, by faith, Abraham, when God tested him, offered Isaac as a sacrifice. He who had embraced, everybody say embraced. Justin, please circle the word embraced. He embraced the promises. And that sounds so simple, right? Like God promises you you're gonna make it and you embrace it and you say, I'm gonna make it. God promises you this is gonna work out for your good, you embrace it, it's gonna work out. God promises you that he has someone for you and you embrace the idea that God has someone from you. And the first thing we need to do before we embrace a promise from God is evaluate, is it actually a promise from God? Or is it just a feeling that we had? Or an ideal that we had? But put it back up, it says he embraced the promise of God that you will have a son. And I wanna point out to you that he embraced the promise not only for a 9-month period, but for 25 years between when God spoke it and when it happened. That's a long time. 25 years is certainly long enough to start questioning, did I really hear God right? 25 years was long enough for Abraham. Should I tell him the story about Hagar? Abraham's wife said, hey, since our stuff isn't exactly coming together like we thought it would, here is my maidservant Hagar, sleep with her and have a son. And Abraham said, hey, I'm the Lord's servant. Whatever you need me to do, let's go. Let's go. Abraham is the let's go man. He said, let's go. They had a baby named Ishmael. It turned out to be a problem, had to throw him out. He became a nation too, father of many nations. But even through the mistake, give it to me again, he embraced the promises. Embracing promises doesn't mean you won't make mistakes in the process. Embracing the promise doesn't mean you won't have days where you go, you know what, forget it, I don't even care anymore. Nobody else does, why should I? Embracing the promise doesn't mean that you never cry the tears. Embracing the promise doesn't mean you always understand the plan. He embraced the promise for 25 years. He had to believe something that he couldn't see. For 25 years, he held on to the promise. So now we've gone from let's go faith to hold on faith. And there are a few of you who are in this room who are in a season of hold on faith. Holding on to believe that you really could be free from this one day. Holding on to believe that it really could lift off of your family one day and it could get better. Holding on to believe that God is going to give you joy again. Abraham is a great model for us of this kind of faith, because no, we're not all going to be the father of many nations. And no, we're not going to have babies at age 100. But there will be a season of your life where you will have to hold on to something God spoke. When everything you see and everything you feel is telling you a different story, you will point back to something God said and say, I still believe it. I still believe it. Somebody shout, I still believe it. Right now, my bank account is a liar, but God is true. I still believe he's a provider. Right now, there are things going through my mind that are telling me that it will never come to pass, but I still believe it. There aren't a lot of people who believe in me right now, but God has called me and he is faithful to keep me. I still believe it. In spite of everything I've gone through, even because of some of the things I've gone through, I wouldn't be going through so much if I wasn't carrying so much, and I still believe it. Feel like preaching to 3 people who need to hold on. Somebody shout, hold on. Tell your neighbor, I'm holding on. Sometimes barely by a fingernail, but I'm holding on. Sometimes I feel like Free Solo, like I'm about to plunge down to my bloody death, but I'm holding on. I'm climbing higher. I'm coming up. I'm moving through it. I'm progressing and advancing in the things of God, even as my emotions are clawing at my feet. I still believe it.
Hey, thanks for stopping by my YouTube channel. I hope you were blessed today. If you were, share this with somebody. Like and subscribe and leave me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from, what we can pray for you about. Hope to see you back here again really soon.